Hi, everybody. This is Holland Martin, and thanks for joining me again on the Never Die podcast. And today I have 2007 Marion High School graduate, Ty Johnson. Ty, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, appreciate you having me, brother.
Hey, so when going through some of your highlights and things, you were a good track star and football star at Marion.
Yep, man. I did some stints there, man. The only school I went to, so played all 4 years. Had a year in JV freshman year, and kind of trickled on up to where I needed to be varsity sophomore year, man.
Yeah. So let's just kind of go from the beginning. What neighborhood did you grow up in? What middle school? Elementary school did you go to? And middle school?
Man, I kind of traveled a little bit. Kind of went to Francis Slocum, Lincoln. I went to Kendall, finished up at Kendall, 4th grade, 3rd grade there. So I was all on all sides of town, man. I mean, living with my mom, being a single parent, I'd be on, Somerset was where I kind of finished up, kind of enjoyed that end, kind of moved away from the hood area. I grew up on like 5th and Race Street, stuff like that, so I'm in the mix of everything, not missing out on anything good or bad, so but I went to those schools elementary wise. Middle school kind of trickled on up, went to started out at Justice. I was more of a problem child, I guess you would say, at some point. And then after, Ikadabu got me on point over there at Justice, I ended up trickling over to McCullough, and I think I fitted in with the demographic a little bit better, and actually got the opportunity to play sports and started really there, honestly.
Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to Mr. Ikadabu. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. If you know, you know.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. So let's talk about that. When did your love of sports come from? Did you play at the PAL Club, Boys Club, YMCA?
Honestly, man, I started out the first year of football in Grant County, man. They ended up having the football league. My grandpa helped get that started too, because he came from Indianapolis, from a whole different demographic. So he was like, man, we're missing a lot of athletic abilities, options out here. You couldn't play all the sports. So he kind of got that going with a lot of group folks here in town. So 6th grade, I can't remember what year it was. But we started out there in the football field, out there behind Kendall.
Yeah.
Right there in that area. So we ended up having a travel football team. And that's really where my football career started. I played a little baseball up until then. And then at that point, I realized baseball was too slow for me. I ended up jumping to the football bandwagon and just taking off, loving it. I love baseball too, don't get me wrong, but I think I fitted the glove of what football presented.
Hey, it's a crazy story, bro. Your grandpa, Mr. Don Roy, he got me started in coaching.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, I started coaching in 07.
Okay.
So Steve O was our quarterback. We had the blue team. He was the Colts. It was Joe McClung and him.
Okay.
And then I think Joe got his own team, and then I came on with your grandpa. And then so we had that blue team. Hey, I tell you what, we went to the Super Bowl both years. I think it was 07, 08. We went to the Super Bowl both years. I think at that time he was at 10.
My little brother was on that team, Steven.
Yeah, he was our quarterback.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I just didn't. That was when I was playing ball, so I didn't get the opportunity to kind of get acquainted with you. With you there.
He would talk. Hey, he always talked about Ty, man, and good man. So, and then another story. I helped. He had a thing done to his knee, and I helped him at the rehab facility.
Oh,
okay. He bought us all monogram shirts.
Oh, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, he made some pink ones for the girls and green ones for the boys.
Oh, he was on top of it.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Coach, man. He, like I said, he got me started 15, 16 years ago. So I went 2 years with him. Then I went 2 years at McCullough. And then I've been at the high school ever since.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, that's a blessing, man. He got that mentality, man. And when it come down to coaching, like I just got a text probably an hour ago, just from him saying, hey, I need to get with Kai. My youngest son, he's 10. He's like, I need to get with him. We got to get him going on some Saturdays or something.
He's what Marion needs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That old school. You know what I'm saying? Been
Yeah.
through it
Yeah.
and can teach you the right and wrong way.
And the one thing I always had hats off. We had our clash moments and we had our great moments, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing about parenting too. Definitely being a grandfather, trying to play that role as a father. He did
Yes.
his job and duty. But ultimately throughout the entire time, man, I'll say, man, um, I mean, his mindset was always like, no matter thick or thin, like, bro, you can do it. Like,
Yes.
that's a coach mentality, and that's one thing about our community, even at a pop mom and pop league or even a pee-wee league, whatever you might want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You need that value. You got to have somebody invest in them kids, man.
Yes.
That's the better years, because once you get in high school, they already made their mind up. They already know
Yes.
if they want to play the game or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, the elementary
Formative
years, being
stage.
a coach. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he was invested at the stage where it mattered, and I appreciated it too. Sometimes I felt like it was too much, but honestly, it
Yeah.
made me the man I am
Yeah.
today, and to be able to do what I can for my children.
The older I get, I tell people now, the older I get, my grandparents was always right. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like they knew that this time period would come and they prepared me back then for what is now. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, I done went through all the rough stuff. This is cake now.
Yeah.
All the
Hey, let me say,
whoopings, all the
feel it.
admonishment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me feel it. It's a blessing to see it. And I mean, as you said, grandparents seen it before us, but the world doesn't change, it just evolves.
Boom,
So
there you
it's
go.
just a factor of adapting, man.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get back into the sports part of it. So we're in the elementary, and uh, did you play football at McCullough?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I did. Seventh and eighth grade, I ended up playing at McCullough.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Who was the coaches back then?
Back then we had Dick Griner.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we had Barnes, not Thomas Barnes, but
William.
William Barnes. Yeah, we had William Barnes, Cochran. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we had a couple. Who else? Mr. Manuel Davis's father, Mr. Davis.
Yes, yes. He was,
He was
hey,
on.
you know what? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Another story about that. So I'm from New Jersey. It was all Italian and, you know, Polish coaches and all that stuff. I never saw a black coach till I moved to Marion. It
Okay.
was Mr. Davis and
Yeah.
Coach Newts. That was the first. I was like, man, and it's crazy. 30 years later, now I'm a coach, and I become one of like the cool coaches. You know what I mean? Coach that you can come to, uh,
Yeah.
the middle ground type of coach.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I thrive on that. So I was just wanted to say acknowledge Coach Davis who's passed, and then Coach Newt as
Yeah.
well, who had a big impact on us in the early '90s and things
Yeah.
like that.
And he was that middle ground coach. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Coach
Yep.
Nukes. Well, I mean, even Coach Davis too. Like he was that coach that it was like you was in that
Yes.
area at the top too. Like, all right, I'm nervous to even talk to you, but then again, it was
He
like
was
coach of like, all right, bro, like, man, I knew you when you was a boy. Boy, sit down, sit still. This is what we're gonna do. Come on, listen
mm-hmm.
up. Blah, blah, blah. And still be able to kind of reach you without feeling like
Yes.
he bossing you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one thing about coaching, man. You still got to be a daddy on the field.
That's it. That's it. Because and you know I noticed that too. Being a coach so long is you become that like you said like a father figure,
Yep.
and sometimes they can talk to you in ways that they can't talk to you know their parents or teachers and things. So it's a
Yep.
pretty intricate, you know. But then there's also a fine line,
Oh,
uh,
by
you know, as far as we've seen here in recent times. There's been some stuff with the volleyball craziness and all that mess. We don't. I don't want to touch on any of that. But let's
yeah,
get
yeah.
back to you. So you played those years, but now here we go, man, freshman, man, high school. Did you come in with any expectations? It is a learning curve from eighth grade to high school. But were you thinking sports out the gate?
Oh yeah, by far, man. And as you touched on, man, the one that kind of really kept me vamped on the next step, not sitting in what basking in what happened today was my grandfather, man. He was like, hey, so yeah, you did basketball, you did football, you did track. But when you get into high school, what two sports are you going to pick? You know what I'm saying? And, or how are they going to correlate with it? How are you going to keep transitioning to progression each season, off season, stuff like that. So I picked track and football, which gave me the bigger option in my mind of going to college, doing my next step, my next level, investigation. So all in all, man, I'll tell you, coming into high school, my biggest expectation was just more so not get knocked on my butt, man. To play with the biggest and the baddest and not get on my butt, knocked on my butt. Because at that time, man, it's a different transition. Not to knock anything that's going on around our community now. It's a factor of how much competition we had at that point. When I was coming in as a freshman, like, I feel like it was 10 times more kids that's on the team now. After I left the dinner today, I'm like, man, it's not that many kids out here on this team, man. Like, we got to get some more kids out here. So then I was nervous about the bigger guys like Devin Walker, Derek Freshwater, you know what I'm saying? Mike Ross. There's some big guys out there slapping people, you know what I'm saying? Putting them on their back. So, me being that young kid coming out there, putting everybody else on their back in 8th grade, it's like, I got a foot to stand on, but can I stand on both my feet and knock on their butt? So that was my expectation to kind of, football season is right as the summer's coming in. So you ain't even met nobody. So you create your face in that summer right before football, so people heard about me in track and football previous years, but honestly, it was just like, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm going here and I'm gonna have to put somebody on their butt, man.
Put them on the butt. Yeah. Like you said, you had Derek Freshwater, Grant County All Player of the Year, 2 years in a row at that time. And you had, I think Nevers was at the quarterback. John Ray Jones was running the ball real fast. Jamar Pettiford was catching the ball. And there was some big studs. Kale was young coming up. Sean Pett was coming up. Billy P was coming up. There was some studs. And what we talked about, I think you touched on, nowadays, there's not a lot of kids out because kids are pigeonholing everything. Back then, you played football, then some played basketball, then some played baseball and track. Now you got kids that play basketball year round. Or, don't play basketball, you're going to get hurt. We didn't worry about those things back in the day.
And that's the biggest thing too, man. In my opinion, it's always an opinion, but you get the most opportunity in the world when a single college looks at you and say, hey, well, man, he played this sport, that sport, and he still leveled up, maintained grades, stuff like that. Like, you're a better prospect. You're more athletic in the long run as well, because your body's not trained for one only sport. You train in different aspects. So like this year, kind of get off a topic, but still sports, like my sons, they wrestle, so with them, so football, track, and wrestling, that's going to keep them progressing year round, different muscle groups, and still, like, every year you gotta look to beat last year.
Wasn't your son Jaden, was he 8th grade champion last year?
Well, he did a couple, he did win a couple tournaments, but he ended up being rookie of the year because it was his first year too as well. But he put some work in, man. I will say that. Him and Jamari, which he's done it for more years than Jaden has, but Jamari is more of an exceller in wrestling than Jaden is for the most part. And that's the thing, like, Jamari kind of grasped more sports that that his brother wasn't in. He's trying to be in his own limelight. So I
call him Big Smooth, Dad. He is smooth. Man, he's smooth. I don't even call him Jamar. I said, man, Big Smooth.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I need him to understand is, he's grown in so much in the last year or two. So he's trying to figure his body out still. So it's a process.
He could be 6'3", somewhere in there, 6'3". He is probably 6 foot right now.
I just took him to the doctor this week, and they was like, 6 foot. Oh my God, you just turned 14, literally.
Yeah, he is growing like a weed and athletic. He come out them breaks. You
Yep.
know what I mean? But once he learns it, man, you're gonna be something to handle. Both of
Hey,
your sons.
repetition. Hey, daddy's job right there. I gotta play my role.
There it is. We take it. So you already know the process
Yep.
from being working at the process with grandpa, and then
Yep.
we carry it forward. Then
Yep.
they learn it, and they carry it forward to the future.
And
Man,
you ain't gotta have generational wealth. You gotta have generational knowledge. That's the thing that you carry on.
yes, sir. Man, I mean, I love it, man. Man, you talking what I love to talk about. All right, but so now, so freshman year, you ran track freshman year as well, didn't you?
Yep, yep. I was on varsity all that year too, man. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ultimately, that was an experience too. I mean, I got to run with some of the fastest: John Ray Jones, John
Yes.
Weatherly,
Mm-hmm.
Alonzo Hill,
Yeah.
Tristan Williams, John Banks. Like, I mean, I can the
Mm-hmm.
list goes on. So it wasn't easy for me to be able to jump in and say, hey, I'm a cheetah amongst the lions, you know.
And they
So
all played football.
oh yeah, yep,
Yep.
yep. And that's one thing about it. They knew I was gonna be out there trying to earn my stripes just as well as
Yes,
them.
sir.
So
Yes,
don't
sir.
put me on the back burner because I'm gonna be cooking and over boiling on you.
Did you place anywhere in the state that freshman year?
I'll be lying to you. Honestly, that's one thing I'm really bad on is accolades and where I kind of sat.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I mean, we did pretty good, man. I feel like we went to regional stuff like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I go through some stuff at my mom's house. I probably got some sheets and some
Yeah,
NCAA or CC paperwork, stuff like that. But that really jogs my memory right now. Off the top of my head, I'll be lying to you.
now in the Hall of Fame, you there is that picture of when you guys went to state. I think your senior year, and we
Yep.
may can touch on that. Was like Sam, I think it was Montez, and was it Leif,
Matt Riefler
yeah,
and
Reefler.
yep,
Yeah.
Sam Montez and Matt Riefler.
Iconic, man. I mean, you can't. You mean as soon as you walk, like when I walk to the weight room, I look at that thing every
Yep,
day. You know, it's
yep,
right there. It's sitting right
yep.
there.
It
Iconic
made me
stuff.
feel so good because you know when it comes down to it, my tour days, which the kids don't have to stress about nowadays,
Oh
but the
man.
tour days in the summer, like it paid off. Not like I don't get no monetary value or anything like that, but it gives you value to say, hey, when I was putting in that blood, sweat, and tears all them summers, and everybody's like, why you riding your bike to football practice rather than driving your car? Like
That's
that's what
why. That's why. Now I'm on the Hall of Fame as a football player, and I'm in the Hall of Fame as a track star.
yep. It's a
Boom.
value, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Both my sons about to put a stamp on it. They about to
Oh
clean
yeah,
it
they're
all
gonna
up.
be up there.
Yep,
They're gonna be up
yep,
there because
yep,
the level of excellence rise
yep,
to that. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
That's,
The
man,
cream gets to the top.
man, it's beautiful, bro. Man, I'm so glad the season about to start tomorrow. But
Um,
so now, sophomore year, boy, I went to the stats. 2004, sophomore year,
okay.
first game, Noblesville. We win 22 to 10, 21 carries, 132 yards. Your first boom. How did that feel in hindsight? Your first big game, 21 carries, 132 yards. We get the
Oh, it
W.
was a marker, man. It was a marker, man.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'll say, man, which didn't have anything to do with the football for the most part, but when we got off that bus, man, it
Mm-hmm.
was slurs and racial slurs thrown. I've never experienced that, but
Down in Noblesville?
at Noblesville, Coach Surface, he nipped it in the butt in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when it happened, you know, my hands sweating now just thinking about it. When
Yeah, well, hey, that's happened to us a few times.
yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
a experience that you can't relive. But at the end of the day, I mean, what can you say? You know, but that kind of irked me enough to kind of get the game
Mm-hmm.
started to be
Okay.
like,
Give me
dang,
the
they
route.
nervous about us just because of that. Like, boom, let me get it. You know,
Yep.
so it was a blessing, man.
Yes, sir.
And after the first hit, I think that's really what set it off. Like I tell my boys, man, like I'm getting jitters now thinking about the
Yeah.
first hit is the biggest thing, man. Like
Yeah.
once you get out there, everything else is the game.
It's
You know,
cool
the
now.
first hit is what determines.
I get, like you said, I get them butterflies, and
Yeah,
then as soon as I hit somebody on defense, for me, I would return kicks. So I'd
yeah.
be like, oh shoot, I'm looking at the gunner, I'm looking at the ball. I'm like, all right,
Where we at?
give me
Where we
here
at?
first. Then I
Yeah,
get that ball, then I'm like, go.
yeah,
But once I get that first hit, I'm like, all right, I'm good now. I'm good
yeah.
now. Yep. Uh,
Open the book up then.
That's it. So
stat line.
mhm. So now, second game of your career, basically, we face Huntington. We win 16-12. You only got 6 carries for 6 yards, but in the third quarter, you got a big 56-yard catching TD in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to, belabor a lot of them, but I will, just kind of touch on them. 56-yard catch and run in the third, we get the W. Now this next game, Newcastle, we whooped them 46-20, 14 carries, 171 yards.
Hey, pretty good day.
And it looks like Kyle Johnson got a big 80-yard bomb from Geyer in that game.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah. It's my boy Slay, one of the best.
Can you kind of just talk about that? What do you recollect from that play, that game?
I mean, really, man, there's just so much with that. I can even just remember KJ having his pad, like the little back pad out running, like he got loose on him. That's how loose he got. That boy got the pop and look like Reggie Bush back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But honestly, man, it was a moment of like you said, like I almost froze it in a way, like just watching that happen. Because I could see him do like a little post down the field still to this day. Boom. Guarantee, you trust them, man. It's Shane Nevers, them two.
Lightning.
Game changers, man. So that made my season a little bit easier too, because as they say, the run game start the game, but in all reality, the pass game maintain the game. So if you can't run, you can't pass. If you can't pass, you can't run. So at the end of the day, he made my job a little bit easier.
There you go. All right, so now Richmond, 46-0, 17 totes, 111 yards, 8-yard touchdown, 17-yard touchdown in the second quarter. But that was Cam Cornett's first game. And he toted 6 carries for 113, and he had a 61-yard lightning fast. I played semi-pro with Cam, and that boy was the truth. He was the truth, boy.
Yeah, and he at that time, boy, he had the All-American body. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, like, how are you looking like this, bro? We in high school, bro. Like you
was like a model out there,
girl, right now, bro.
Yeah, and he would run like a 4.3.
He fast, stupid fast. Like that's what gave me value in track too, my freshman year too. Hey, Cam,
lightning fast,
straight up.
But so now, homecoming, which is usually a track, it's always powder puff, blase, whoop, smashing the cars and all that. But we got the W against Logansport, 14 carries, 105 yards, 5-yard touchdown in the third, long of 35. It was good that we was able to focus in, because we usually lose those homecoming games because they worry about everything except the game.
Yep. And that was one thing I will say though, man. That's Coach Surface, hats off to him and the coaching staff. They kind of kept us on point too as well. You always kind of veer off, but and we had a lot of seniors at that point too as well. So they kind of kept us in tune where we should be at.
And plus, Coach used to coach at Logansport. And he used to coach at Lafayette too. He'd always talk about Sally Ann soap suds, and he would have his father would come at the time and talk to us. And I played with his son Matt. Matt was a superstar, but I was a hothead at the time. I thought I was better than him. I wasn't better than him. Right. In my mind now, knowing and then coaching, 6'2", 195. That boy was cold, high school linebacker. I was 5'10", 165.
Whole different play.
A whole different player. And but we butted heads a little bit, and we were able to mend that. But so now we play Lafayette Jeff. They was number 9 ranked, and that was our first loss. Can you talk about that spank because we was running good, going 5-0, and then all of a sudden that first loss, and you were, your first big year as a starter. Could you talk about that?
I mean, honestly, that was the first game I can honestly say that when I walked out there, I felt like I got hit. Like there was
Mm-hmm.
a guarantee, like almost
Lafayette always
every
do that.
player was hitting me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
that's one thing I can't stand doing is, you know, it was a rude awakening in that
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yep.
So, and on top of it, as you said, I mean, so many wins back to back. You know,
Yeah.
as not just as me as a younger player, but as a team too as well. Like, oh yeah, we on a rise right now, and we riding really well. And
Mm-hmm.
then we hit that team that's like mentally strong and physically strong. Like
Yes.
you gotta be prepared. And that's the thing about football, man. You could be outmatched with any situation, any scenario. That's why the whistle's blown for y'all to rematch every time.
Yeah. And Lafayette, they still do that. They beat us last year, I think 60-6 or something. And they was
Oh
picking us up.
man.
They was picking us up and slamming us on our back, bro. And
Oh man.
after a while, it was like, football. After a while, you're like, yeah, I can't be hit like that. No, you know.
Right. It ain't gonna happen.
All right. So now we recoup though. Anderson the next week, we get the W 24-16. You got 15 carries, 82 yards, long of 25. But you did return 3 kickoff returns that game.
Yeah.
You know, still keeping things rolling. Next game, we got Kokomo, 18 carries, buck 12, 14-yard TD in the first, and a 4-yard TD in the first. Kokomo's always a rival. And back then, they was running that wing T.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the challenges that maybe running, playing against Kokomo, because we hate each other. You
Yeah.
know, Marion hates
That's one thing
Kokomo.
about Kokomo, man. Like when it comes down to it, like the sport itself is
Mm-hmm.
built up as far as tension of like rivalry.
Yeah,
So when it comes down to it, when you shop, you go to Kokomo, you mix
yeah.
and match. You oh man, I'm trying to get out of town, I'm going to Kokomo. So like you see those players at so
You
many
get a
situations.
job at Chrysler,
Oh yeah,
Telco.
my mom work up there with your mom. Like even
Yeah.
right now, my kid's mom works at Chrysler,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as that game hit, it's like, oh, we
Oh,
there, we there.
we there. Yep.
They might be putting bets on it. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got to buy somebody lunch because of that. But when it come down to it, Kokomo was always that squad that like you got so much love when you ain't on the pads, but as soon as you got the pads, it's like we button
Oh yeah,
heads.
we bunting heads like
Man,
brother
I'll tell you.
cousins.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It's distant love from the city. You got cousins, like you said, and
Mm-hmm.
one thing about Kokomo, man, they've never been a run over team, but
No.
they always been a talking team. So that
Yeah.
gave us a good value that we ain't never been a run over team, and we always talk too. So we, at that time, I didn't really get to experience much of the varsity up front. My
Mm-hmm.
freshman year, I played a little bit here and there, spit me in, spit me out.
Mm-hmm.
But that year, once I got in there with them, like
Mm-hmm.
I was already built up. I dealt with them in track from freshman year, stuff like that. So I had some good friends. Zeb, there's a couple people over there I played against. DJ Pew
Mm-hmm.
now. So it was a love hate, but it was a big, thick tension in the air. So once
Mm-hmm.
we took that field, I mean, it
You
was
know,
over.
I
It was
played
over.
semi. I played semi-pro with the running back Justin Patterson. He was a running back over there at Kokomo, and he ended up playing Miami County Blitz semi-pro for a couple years. Hey, that boy was smooth. He was real. He had the cuts. Uh,
Yeah.
so now we face Muncie, and we lost 35-22. You got 28 carries for 27 yards. Do you
Hey,
do you remember that game?
one thing I can say is every time I played against Muncie Central, man, like I got two good buddies that I always kind of lingered with throughout the life of that time. And it was this dude named David Davidson, I think, and then
Mhm.
Ryan Kerrigan. He's an
Okay.
NFL player now,
Yeah.
but
Redskins, huh?
yeah. So
Yeah.
he's the DN. Ryan Kerrigan was the defensive end. So I mean, you think about him sitting in the situation now,
Boy,
like it
he
was
coming.
we gotta go the opposite way of Ryan,
Yep.
so we can
Run
get some
away
yards.
from him.
but David was a middle linebacker. So
Mhm.
wherever Ryan was, David
David
was
coming.
opposite. You know what I'm saying? So like it was an environment that like I love, don't get me wrong, but
Hmm.
Central always gave us a good vibe that we knew it was like it wasn't a game handed to us. You
Hmm.
know, so like even like you think about movies, you know what I'm saying, that black team that has the jersey, like you like, man, they come into town, you got to be a little leery, like they're mean, they're gritty, they're down and dirty, like they come in with that dark black jersey, whatever, and kind of give you that vibe. You like,
Vibe, yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, we got to do something about this. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good vibe though.
So it almost seemed like after that Kokomo game, the team kind of fizzled, kind of lost its steam toward the end of the season because now we played in a sectional. We got beat 18-6. Uh, you had a fumble in the first quarter of that sectional game, and just
Was
four
that,
carries, 9 yards. Say you hurt your shoulder.
yep. Still got the surgery to this day.
Also,
Yep.
you hurt your shoulder.
Yeah, yep. Actually, before that, when I was in high school or in middle school, playing basketball, I was in eighth grade, went up
Mm-hmm.
and dunked, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody undercut me. So when they
Mm-hmm.
undercut me, I came down on this shoulder. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a long-term injury. It was just more so when that happened, like people used to think I was joking and stuff, but all the way up until that point, like I used to have my shoulder pop out and then I'll pop it back in and
Mm-hmm.
go about my business. But at that point, I can remember that play very vividly. It was probably within the 20-yard line. It was
Mm-hmm.
red zone. I was running down. Next thing you know, I mean, it could have easily been a score, but I think I got first down, but
Uh-huh.
didn't because I fumbled. So
Mm-hmm.
I got hit. I went down to try to make sure I got that first down.
Uh-huh.
The ball, and next thing you know, it popped out this
Pop.
way. Yeah, it was
Did
north.
the crowd land on you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was under. I was like,
Man,
I
that's
didn't know where
1,500,
the ball
that's
went,
2,000 pounds, boy. I hate that.
bro. I'm telling you, real deal.
Because sometimes you be like, when I was under the pile, it's like it was everything I could do to hold it was like, if y'all don't get off me in 1 second, I'm ready to
Yeah,
die.
it's over
So,
with. Yeah,
yeah, it be that much pressure on your body under the pile. Then they
that was
be
the thing.
gouging you, ripping your nose.
Yeah, it's on this hand. I got a forever scar, man. I came out the game one day. They bit my hand, literally
Yes.
bit a chunk out my hand,
Dog,
and I
I
still
have people
have a
grip my
scar.
mouth, everything, man.
Yeah,
So
grabbing
a
your.
lot of times, as soon as I got tackled, I pop right back up, running back to the huddle.
Yep.
Get down, they blow the whistle, boom, I pop back up, run to the
Yep.
huddle.
Exactly. If you ever see my highlight film, man, anything or any film on me, that's what I whoop,
Yes, sir.
right
Yes,
back
sir.
there. I'm good.
All right. So let's ease on to sophomore year of track.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
can we talk about that? I mean, you guys had Miko Davis. He was super fast. Like you said, had Cam on there. Had Reynolds played track, I believe. Could you talk about a little bit of the track team in the sophomore year?
Man, honestly, man, that year is pretty vibrant. Um, we
Mm-hmm.
had we had a lot of older guys that were making it to state that were
Mm-hmm.
killers long distance, short or field guys. So I mean, the vibe that you got at the football vibe, it
Mm-hmm.
carried over to track because
Yes.
the players that you didn't have that were on the football team, but then you had the people that were like basketball players or whatever sport you play, you still got that vibe too on the
Mm-hmm.
track team. So like it was just like dog eat dog. Like I'm about to dog you out here. Like they was,
Yeah. I'm here
so
to get you.
that made me as a sophomore, and I mean, even as a young guy, man, you look at these guys and it's humbling because you get to experience it with them. But
Mm-hmm.
in another form and fashion, like I felt like I was fast forwarded, because
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't really get to hang with the guys that I grew up with, what I'm saying, playing
Yeah.
sports because I was fast forwarded to varsity. So all my homeboys was running the regular races, this and that. I'm over here practicing with all the older guys.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was humbling to a point where it's like their lifestyles were a little faster than mine, or what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, doing this or doing that I might not been in tune with just yet. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that was a big shock, what I'm saying, for
Mm-hmm.
me, culture shock. But yeah, man, that was one thing that kind of helped me, man, was the transition from football to track was that I still had common faces.
Mm-hmm.
But generally outside of the common faces, man, common conversation, man. So, like they helped me adapt. They weren't like, oh man, you the rookie out here or this or that.
Yeah.
Even from freshman year, I got a better vibe to even kind of grow and transition because with me being that freshman and being in varsity, by the
Mm-hmm.
time I got that sophomore year, I felt like I had a little bit of something under my belt,
Mm-hmm.
So, even to a point of mixing and mingling with some of the fastest, man. I didn't always beat everybody, but I
Mm-hmm.
was definitely one that was a contender.
Mm-hmm. You
So
push them to be great.
exactly, and that's one thing, at the end of the day, man, that's what camaraderie comes from, and then even
Iron sharpens iron.
exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
So, and even to a point, man, like hanging with Tristan and KJ, like
Mm-hmm.
they were older, don't get me wrong, but they were the hurdlers. So they was in a whole different perspective, but just as fast. So
Mm-hmm.
they was teaching me flexibility. Like,
Yes.
that's a whole nother world. Konayima,
Oh yeah. Hey, Mr. Hey, I love him. I love him to this day, boy. He had that cold Benz driving around. Hey,
that
couldn't
color
tell
was
me
so
nothing.
smooth.
But Smooth had the Jerry curl when I was.
He still had it when I was in school.
Hey, he wasn't doing so well the last time I saw him. So prayers up to him. I'm not sure, how he's doing, but prayers up to him. So now let's go into that football season because it was a little different. It wasn't, what we thought it would be. We came out that first game. I mean, Madison Grant whooped us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had that C high running that thing. You don't know where the ball at.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know
And
what I
that was
mean?
the thing, man. We was overconfident in what we was going to present because they were
Yeah.
who they were. And when we
Mm-hmm.
came in there, we prepared for a game, but we didn't prepare the way we should have prepared because we expected more.
Yeah.
Saying? We're gonna just
Hey,
beat them. They ain't nothing.
but you got 13 carries for a buck 32, one catch for 59 yards, and you had a 78 yard run in the third quarter. He talked
Yep.
about that run and if things opened up or how things went.
Actually, I remember that one pretty vivid too, man. That run there itself, man, uh, is a little bit past midfield, man. Next thing you know, like it was like it might have been a cross play, like a counter. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? Sam went this way, and then I come across this way,
Yes,
got handed off to me, and I had a pulling guard or something like that, or maybe a pulling tackle. But he hit that outside, smacked somebody.
hit him
Next thing,
out.
long behold, hit it.
Woo.
I remember I hit a juke, like
Uh-huh.
somebody safety or something was down there, and it was just me and him. Next thing you know, juked him, kind of went like it was right on the sideline and
Mm-hmm.
just sideline on up the field, man.
That's why I tell them sideline is your friend. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Breakthrough. Like somebody asked me, what is it like to run the ball? I said, for me, it's like I never surfed, but it's almost like I'm going through like a wave of people,
Yeah.
and then I gotta make the linebacker miss, and then hell, I might have to run over the safety, or I might have to veer my tail off to the sideline. You know what I mean? So it's almost like surfing. I try to describe it like you get through them fatties, you got to get the linebacker, then you got to get the safety,
Yeah.
all trying to take your head off.
It's timing. You got to find that
That
seam.
jump cut, that
Yep.
first man's got to miss. I
Yep.
got to make the first man miss to make everything go. You
Yep.
know?
I literally just told Jaden about that last night. No, the night before. I was like, hey man, the biggest thing that you can have in your arsenal is a jump cut. And
That's
then
it.
like there ain't no 4 or 5 jump cuts. There's not 2 or
Yeah.
3, just one and go.
Boom,
Simple.
boom. Yeah, and you can work rings, you work ladders. I got some of those. Maybe I can work with him. I would definitely love to.
Yep, definitely opened up to that one, brother.
Yes, sir.
I never said no.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So now a second game, though, all the way up in South Bend, way
Yeah.
up there, South Bend, Adams, 63-20, we won. Now that's the game you got the 5 touchdowns at up there in
Yeah,
South
man.
Bend. Uh,
Yeah.
12 yards in the first quarter, 3 yards, 34 yard in the second, 2 yard in the third. Then you had a 97-yard kickoff return.
Oh
Talk
yeah.
to me about that kickoff return. What you know what I mean?
It was a situation that you didn't expect it to be a non-touched return all the way to the crib, man. I ended up so the kickoff had came down towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it ended up falling just short of me. I couldn't get there fast enough. It was coming short of me. It's probably about the 20. Then ended up bouncing all the way back to the 99. They actually ended up putting me in the paper as having the longest kick return in school history because it's only you can't go past 100.
Yeah.
But
I think John Hobson might got something like that. But
yeah,
you and him probably got the record.
I think we both were tied. Like we couldn't beat each other with it or something like that.
So you got that thing?
Took it to the crib, man. I mean, I remember to this day because Billy Pettiford, he looked at me, he looked over like, dang, we made it through the wave.
You
And
know?
then, you know what I'm saying? He followed me to the crib.
Let's go.
You know, Coach Nuke's on the side, rooting me on. So I can definitely remember that one to this day. And by the time I got there, I'm like, dang, I can't believe I did that. Like, cause you know how a player feels, man, when you come up short, when you didn't get that return and that ball didn't touch your hands.
Yeah.
You try to get there and the ball came up short. So you're already like, dang, coach.
I gotta make something out of nothing. Then all of a sudden, now I'm through.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
I appreciate y'all. My squad blocking. Nobody was watching. Everybody was blocking, man. Now that was a moment that I can definitely remember.
That's good stuff, bro. And 5 touchdowns in one game. You always have that in the bank, you know what I mean? Something
I was upset, man. I ain't gonna lie, they took me out. I wanted 7. Somebody whispered in my ear. I can't remember who it was, but they was like, the record's 7. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Look, I need that. And then they like, we don't need it anymore. Yeah, sit down.
Yeah. But now the next game, though, you still had that momentum, though. Newcastle, we won 33 to 32. You got 18 for 133, 55-yard run in the second. But this was kind of the coming out party for Sam. He got 3 carries for 66 yards in that game, and he continued to get more carries, kind of share carries to the middle part of that season. So let's move on to the next. Whoop Richmond, 42-31. You got 21 for $119, long at 18. And let's move on again. But now we face Logansport again.
Oh, yeah.
And we won last year, but now Logansport beat you, us, 49-14. You got 15 for 112 and a long of 58. Can you talk about that being the first loss since that Madison Grant loss?
I mean, honestly, man, it hit hard just because I think it was more so we got in the groove and we just got cocky and confident and then kind of veered off of it. And then even before that, as you said, the year before we beat them. I mean, that's the downside about football, but the upside, like, it doesn't matter if you beat them last year, you still got to play them this year. So at the end of the day, they came out and had our number.
Ready.
Yep, they had our number.
But now let's move to the next game, and we play Huntington, and they beat us 45-14. They was up 32-0 at halftime.
Yeah, they had that major quarterback. I can't remember his name.
Chris Kramer. He played at Purdue as a guard.
Yep. Basketball killed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm friends with his Aunt Mary.
Okay.
His Aunt Mary Kramer. Shout out to her. But he was a stud from Huntington. I never really liked Huntington, man. That was kind of like how it was when y'all went down to Noblesville, man. It was like that at Blackford, and it's been like that at Eastbrook recently. But but you got 9 carries, 22 yards. Sam did get a 59-yard run in that game.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Anderson next, 35-21, 15 for 101, 1 TD. It's Anderson. I mean, we expect to beat Richmond, Anderson, and Muncie. We expect to beat them every year.
Yeah.
If we don't, I expect to beat them. Kokomo always going to be tough, but we expect to beat them too.
Conference games wins.
But now talking about Kokomo, so now we face Kokomo. We lost 31-28. They kicked a 42-yard field goal with no time left in that
Yeah,
game.
finished us off on an accident.
Yeah.
Actually, I even remember even vividly the game before I hurt myself
Mm-hmm.
in Huntington North. I think I messed up my ankle or something. In the next game, I ended up playing, but I came in later on, I think, in the game, and I think I didn't get many carries, but we was already down getting that
Mm-hmm.
work before I even got in there.
Mm-hmm. And at that Kokomo game, you did get 16 for 102. Pee Wee Freshwater ran a little bit in there, and Sam had a couple of TDs in that game. So it sounds like that ankle, you was bobbing a little bit. But here we go. Now we had Muncie at the end of the season, and we lost. So that's back-to-back losses, 35-30. You got 12 for 82 and 2 catches for 47, but Central beat us. Was Kerrigan still there and the other cat?
Yep. Kerrigan, actually, I ended up, by the time I graduated, I ended up playing in the North-South All-Star game with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we enjoyed it. We ended up enjoying ourselves by that time. But yeah, we all were in the same class.
Yeah.
So yeah, them, and there's another cat named King. He ended up having a twin sister that ran track.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty dope, man. He was a safety or DB. So they had some safety nets, man. Another guy named Gary on Muncie Central. So
Mm-hmm.
and I think even that year, Sam might even got hit pretty good by the kicker, I think.
Yeah, because he only got 3 carries. He got 3 carries in that game. So 3 carries, and you got 12, and we got the W. But let's talk about the next game, though. At Fort Wayne Carroll in a sectional.
Oh, yeah.
And we won 42-14.
Yeah.
You got 11 for 74, 15-yard TD in the first. But we got 5 fumbles in that game. We just kept fumbling in that game for some reason. And we lost 4 of them.
Yeah.
But Sam did get a 63-yard run in the first quarter to kind of get things going.
I do remember we had a bad spell, and that was something I think honestly it was like a South Bend Adams situation. Like we never like seen them in full force playing them in general. Yeah. So when we got there, we was kind of like we had to be amped up after a loss. Yeah, we had to take that to another level. So when it came down to it, man, I think more so as a team, I think we was just like, we're not losing. Like, yeah,
we're gonna win this game. Yeah, we up at the fort. We gotta face these jokers. We're gonna win, and you did, vaulting you into the sectional semis against Goshen, and we beat them.
Yeah, that was a last second win too, because I can remember that vivid too, man. Right at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was the last. Geyer hit Evan Reynolds. Geyer hit Evan Reynolds with a 16-yard TD.
No, Jake Randall. Jake Randall.
Is that Jacob Randall?
Jake Randall, he caught the controversial catch, but then Evan Reynolds caught the game changer.
Game winner. Yeah. Yes.
Yep. There was one that it was a bobble, like so if you could visualize running the plays, wideouts. So Jake Randall was our tight end. So he's coming off the line, did like a hook, you know what I'm saying, like a 7-yard hook or something like that. Was a linebacker right in front of him. Well, the linebacker like tips the ball right in front of him. Well, Jake Randall somehow he reels it in. Like, I mean, you know how them balls go away from the play and then you like dive for it and catch it. So he ended up catching that for a first down, which propelled us to that was like a third down. So propelled us to the touchdown with Reynolds.
Yeah.
So
crazy stuff. Kyle Turner kicked the extra point. And we get the W. You got 17 for 163, 2 catches for 14, long of 31. It's like a 13-yard run in the first, 10-yard run in the second. And that was the first home win all season. I mean, that was the first home win because it was tough all year winning at home.
Yeah,
but now, though, here we go. Snyder.
Snyder.
Hey, they put the whoopers to us every time we faced them. 97.
With a snotty nose. That's it.
But it was a tough week, though. it's like one practice all week. You got 10 carries for 43 yards in that. Uh, uh, Geyer got 5 sacks and 3 interceptions, and they had him throw 46 times in that game against Snyder. We
Yeah,
lost 48-21.
we was trying to make up anything and everything.
Anything, man. It just seemed like it was tough. So,
Yeah.
so the season's over. So after 135 carries and 814 yards, 12 touchdowns as a sophomore, junior year, 171 carries, 1,211 yards, 11 touchdowns. That long 78-yarder being at Madison Grant. But could you talk about 5-7, 2-5 in the NCC? That's not Marion Giant ball. You know what I mean? One home win all year. That's a tough thing for Marion.
Yeah, we had to overcome that, man. That was off season. That was the off season year right there. Then because also I'll put it into this perspective, man. As we said earlier with the freshman year, man, we had so many intricate seniors and stuff like that. So we're in that spell of development.
Yes.
By the time all the players got to their positions, it was like, all right, I'm on varsity. Now I got to actually produce.
That's where we're facing this year. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's put up a shut up time. You're a sophomore that didn't get no play last year, or now you're an incoming freshman that might be thrown into the fire right away.
Yeah.
It's time. You could be a 4-year starter. That's what I kind of like about this year's squad. We're young. Quarterback's a freshman, running back's a freshman, split ends a freshman. And it's going to be a growing process, but I feel as though by the time they graduate, they're going to put some numbers up and put some banners up there.
I love that, man, too. Even thinking on this team here, man, like I've been blessed to see all of them kind of grow up because Tim is actually my nephew. So, and then obviously all of them being together, Jamari and then Tim, a couple months apart from being born.
Yeah.
Mothers or sisters.
Just watch them grow up taller than us.
Yeah, and then you even got a little Bo on the team. You got Krishan. They're all cousins.
Yeah.
So it's a value to see all of them kind of flourish to a moment where those backyard games are turning into
Friday night lights.
Yep.
Here
so
it is.
That's value, man, and I think it'll transition for the Giants in the long run. And honestly, I don't think it'll be a bad season this year. It's just a matter of how fast they catch on and think them lights are legit from
first game on, like we talked about. And as long as we're running into all cylinders going into the playoffs, I think Bo's gonna get a lot of totes tomorrow night. In that first game.
I'm with that.
But now let's go into that senior year. Coach Surface's last year, he's on the way out. Did you guys know before the season started that this will be his last season?
I can't remember exactly. I think maybe mid-year he might have told us, if I'm not mistaken. Just because he was like, man, like he kind of made some jokes, out throughout the season, like, man, like I'll be a fool not to go out with this team,
What you talking about, Coach?
Yeah, like you ain't going nowhere,
nowhere.
When it come down to it, man, I know he did his time. Like I even had the ability when I was selling cars to even see him over at Matthews Buick, him and the wife Jill, and kind of taking a photo with them, in the adulthood. So it meant a lot that he went out with us. I kind of felt bad for the coming teams, because
it was tough those next 2 years.
Yep. And that honestly, that kind of affected me too. Just to keep it real. When you graduate from somewhere, you want to go home and see them people that you actually dealt with. And don't get me wrong, like I dealt with some of the like C-High after, I think that's who it was that came there after.
So Zach Shea had that 1 year, they went 2-6 or whatever. It was a horrible year.
So he came from Madison Grant.
Zach Shea came from somewhere, I think Nat something, but he ended up leaving like with the 1 game left or something like that. And then C-High came from Madison Grant.
Okay.
In the 09 season.
Yeah. See, them 2 years, man, I kind of
Oh,
that
oh,
affected me all the way up until this point. I'm just to keep it real, man. I don't think I've ever been to a Giants game since I left the night we got beat by Snyder in the mud. Uh,
mm-hmm.
so when it came down to it, like that surface had affected me, because I'm
Yeah.
not coming home to see anybody that I rocked with before,
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I feel like football was just kind of flat. I just haven't even showed my face to the stadium really. Um,
But
but
let's go through that season though. Senior season, man, high school. Did you have any big expectations? Was it, Ty Johnson, Geyer, Trahan? Was it, Richard
it was
Billby?
everybody had a game plan already for us, man. So that was the big expectation, like from sophomore year to being a nobody to
Uh-huh.
junior being the don't forget guy, and then
Mm-hmm.
senior year you better remember,
You better
type
remember
that.
him.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing I will say. Like I had expectations to be great, and
Mm-hmm.
after hearing 1,000 yards, as
Yeah.
a junior, man, like that's something that individually,
I want it again.
yeah, like man, it wasn't that hard,
Mm-hmm. I can do better. Or
It
it's
takes
different.
dedication, so
Yeah.
you want to progress, but you don't want to be cocky and too bold about it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing what will come of it. But that year, honestly, the one thing I love too is I got to bless all my linemen. That's one thing I believed in was the people who got me to my point. So
Yes, sir.
every Thursday, I don't know if you remember the pit, the barbecue joint down there.
Yeah, right there by Godwin's. Yep,
Yep.
Mr. Evans.
I can't remember his
I,
name.
I
I
think it was
think I used
Kevin Evans' dad, the
yeah,
late Kevin Evans' dad. But he go, hello to Pitt. I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I need a rib tip dinner with macaroni and cheese and baked beans. He was like, come
run
on,
that.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
And I,
run that.
yep, the
Man, I
Pitt.
used to tear it up.
Yep.
Well, and I actually grew up right there on 35th and Felton, right there on the corner.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that was nothing for me to
Right
show up
down the
there.
street.
Yeah, that was average.
Yep.
So, when it come down to it, man, I used to take my lineman, and if I hit 100 yards,
We're going to the Pitt.
going to eat. We eating at
Yep.
the pit. So, Big Pettiford, the cruise missiles. I had my cruise,
Mm-hmm.
Marcelino and Gerardo Cruz.
Yes, sir.
Adam Gonzalez,
Yep.
I mean, all
Some
kind of guys.
studs.
Yeah, when it
Studs on
comes
that
down
team
to it,
eating good.
yeah, every week, Jake, I mean, I had a group of them, but that year, man, when it come down to being a freshman or not
Mm-hmm.
freshman, but senior, man, seeing all my guys, I had to stand up and be a leader too as well.
Mm-hmm.
I still wasn't a vocal person, man. I feel like I'm just now falling into that vocalized
Mm-hmm.
person. But at that stage of life, if you know my son Jaden, I feel like I'm more of a reflecting of him at that point,
Mm-hmm.
real
Hey,
quiet and
hey,
turn on when I
Dad.
need to.
Hey, he is an excellent. Can you tell he was raised right? As a football coach, he
Appreciate it.
does what he's told, doesn't say a word, and he listens to what he's instructed by his position coach, and he makes it happen. But has he been to some camps and things to kind of accelerate his process?
Well, this year was his first year doing camp, so I actually got out of car sales this past summer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the last summer, one because I wanted to be a big influence
Yes.
in my children's lives. My wife
Yes.
gave me the value to do so. So when it comes down to it, man, this past summer has been more vocalized than physical. And
Yes.
then you'll see the dramatic difference from this summer
Mm-hmm.
and to the end of
To the
his
end of the
high
career.
school. I
Yes.
can promise you that
Yeah.
one.
It'll be
Um,
much. Yeah.
it's going to be a dramatic difference. But
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing I will say, man. He this summer, him and his brother went to Ball State and went to Purdue,
Mm-hmm.
and experienced like
Big
true
time football.
talent pool. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes. These
this ain't
are the guys.
this ain't Grant County, bro. This ain't
No.
Indianapolis. This
These
is
are some of the best in the country
yep,
right here.
yep.
Top 40
This ain't
star.
YouTube either. This ain't. Oh, I looked him up and seen that he was good. No,
I'm looking at him right here.
yeah, his breath smelled just as bad as yours.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, get
Yep.
it in.
We can make that. You can be better than that
Yep.
cat.
Yep. So
let's go through the season, though. Let's go through the season because that senior year was special. That
Oh
was a
yeah.
special year. I mean, we won a lot. Smacked Madison Grant 49-8, 7 carries for a $119, 53-yard touchdown in the third, 48-yarder in the fourth. You know what I'm saying? And smacked them up real good. Now that next game, we had South Bend Adams, I think, at home.
Yep.
And that was Coach Surface's 250th win. We beat them 53-20. But we trailed 17-0 in the second quarter. Could you talk about being behind and then coming back and just smack the pants off them boys 53-3 the rest of the way?
So honestly, man, they really had our number, man. They had our number at the beginning of the game, and when it came down to game planning, like we followed the game plan. And the game plan didn't really work for us. So when it came down to it, coach like a coach, 250 win, you deserve to figure out how to win this one too. So, he figured it out. And when it came down to it, man, it was more so just team grit, man. Like we knew we could do it. And then even to a point, man, it was like a reality check, because how we played in the first half compared to the second half, it was a night and day. So we really beat ourselves up more, because we could have just came out and did what our job was,
And you scored 3 touchdowns in that game, 10 carries, 68 yards, 5-yarder in the third, 4-yarder in the fourth, and another one later on in the game. Eric ran the ball 12 for 118, but Sam had an interception for a touchdown in that game as well to kind of propel some things, which was good. But now moving on to the next game, though, facing Newcastle, whooped them 27-20. I never really liked. Best thing for me about Newcastle was looking in that basketball court and seeing that, it was like the number 3 basketball court in the country. That was my only, I like to eat at the Sizzler. We used to eat at the Sizzler and get up out of there.
Yeah, see, look, hey, I ain't never even did the Sizzler, because, hey, soon as
they got cheap by then. RCA had left. By the time you start playing, all the funding, man, we used to have Big Mac cards stacked up, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we passed them out like it was nothing. But in that game, you got a 13-yard TD pass in the first quarter, 9 carries for 104, and then you got a 57-yard run in the third quarter against Newcastle.
I remember
Sam
that
only got 1 carry.
Yeah, I juked him on that one.
You know what I mean? We got to whoop them Newcastle boys. So now it's a home game against Richmond. We beat them 36-22. You got 20 for 166 in there. Jay Edwards got an interception. Geyer ran the ball hard. And he had a 50-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Blowing them through. But then that next week is NCC Day at the Dome, their senior year.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all face Logansport. Now we got, back then, Marion was just grass and muddy and nasty. Now we got a fast running backs, fast team on a fast field.
On the surface that works.
You know what I mean? Now talk to me about that game, if you could. Man, at the Dome.
That game was monumental, man, because being a high school athlete, man, my older brother, DeJuan Strons, he actually played at the Dome too. One of his last games. So him being a running back, number 1, you know what I'm saying, watching him there. The day he played there, I told him, I said, I'm about to terrorize it when I get my chance. And I didn't think I was going to get an opportunity. You know how the 4 years fall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might not get it, because he graduated in 03 and I came in 03, 04.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I got to play. So when I got in there, I wrote my ticket, man. As soon as I looked up, it was humid. I mean, catching cramps like no other. Like it's a different atmosphere too. So like you could be prepared and you ain't prepared. Like playing in the Dome, it's different.
It is big time.
So when I got in there, man, I mean, honestly, I was already geeked up. Like being that high school student, like, man, one day I'm gonna be in here, man. I'm gonna be playing NFL ball, believing the dream. So that was already the turf was under my feet. So it was like,
you know what I mean?
And then this is the last year of the Dome. They're about to tear it down.
Yep, they tear it down.
So like I got to leave my mark. So it was a good environment, man. Had a good kick return.
Yeah,
Um,
two big catches, 33 yards.
yeah,
Guy ran 15 times in there though.
yeah, you know how that go. You know, hey,
You know what I
you
mean?
gotta get your bid in when you
You
can.
know. But so now next week, Huntington North again, we got beat
Yeah,
41-28. They
yeah,
was up 21 to nothing in the first quarter. But there was a long weather delay in that game. There was a cat named Ryan Millage. He ended up the little 5'7", 155 running back Huntington had.
yeah,
Yeah, he scored 3 times.
yep. He working our D.
He was. But you had a 20-yard touchdown in the second quarter, 11 for 84, and 5 catches for 49. But we still lost. Sam had an 87-yard kickoff return in the fourth in that game, and like I said, it was a weather delay, and it was tough. I hate losing to those teams because I feel like we should, city speed, county speed, we should be able to, you know what I'm saying?
And then even to another perspective, man, you just made their lifetime of memories.
I beat Marion.
Yeah, like that's the conversation to be had.
Yeah.
They had this player, they had this player, and then we beat Marion.
That's what they say. I talk to them old dudes at the gym. Man, I played 73 basketball. Yeah, we beat Marion in the afternoon game and, blah, 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 and all that. They loving that crap.
Yep. Big facts, man. It don't
Yep.
matter if it was when I was in third grade, I beat such and such.
Oh, man, they love it. They love it. So now this next game, though, is a home game against Anderson where we got the most rush yards in Marion history, 603 yards, 27 first down, smacking Anderson 53-20. You had, I believe, was your first 200-yard game, 19 for 203.
Oh yeah.
And then Geyer had his 200 game as well, 21 for 234. Now, it seemed like Coach Servers gave y'all a halftime speech during that game. Do you recall him getting into y'all a little bit, motivation?
Hey man, all I know is I think that game he did not have an ice mug by the end of the game. So something was going on that he had like a little cooler and he let it loose and so
he's a big dude.
Yeah, he put a spark under people, and if Surf, when he talking to you, if he get to yelling, his glasses start rolling. With this.
Now look, Ty, I'm telling you now, you got to go.
Hey, guarantee, you already know. I'm telling you.
I know, Coach, man.
That finger.
Yep. So it inspired us. 600 yards, 2 players for 200 apiece. Sam got a 41-9-yard run in the second quarter. And the next game is Kokomo, homecoming.
Yep.
We win 28-27 in 3 overtimes. Jay Edwards blocks a kick at the end.
Yep.
But you got injured in that game.
Yeah.
2 carries for 12 yards. Can you talk about that injury? Was it the same shoulder?
Nope, that was actually ended up being. I think that one turned out to be an ankle situation again.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was, but it was like early on in the game, if I ain't mistaken, and I ended up going down and tried to go back in later and just know how once you take that shoe off.
Yeah, it's tough. But Sam had a decent game, 15 for 94. Like he jumped over somebody. They said he hurdled a dude near the home sideline. You know what I'm saying?
Sam, that was one thing about Sam. He was our Reggie Bush. Like if you remember the USC back then, that's what me and him actually, we was in class together. We used to just watch that.
Man.
I can't remember the running back that was with Reggie Bush, but
Lindell White,
maybe, yeah.
I think it was Lindell White. Something
it was them two back and forth, and we used to talk about all the time, like, hey, bro,
Thunder and Lightning,
that's you. You know what I'm saying? So it was good fun, man. So when it came to it, he was the nice spice slipping, and I'll just truck you and just get it on over.
I love it. So now, last game of the year, we are 5A, 7 ranked, facing Muncie, beat them 33-20. You got 18 for 96, Guy got 14 for 94, but Sam again, 92-yard kickoff return. He seemed to, on special teams that year, he seemed to be able to really get it and go. Yeah, but we was down 20-19 with 6 minutes left. I think Jay Edwards got another interception, and that kind of we ended up winning, luckily. But we was down in the fourth quarter and ended up scoring too late. But now let's go into the 10th game of the season in a sectional. Huntington in the sectional now. Man, we facing that dude again, little Ryan Millage, but we was able to corral him in this game. And we won 43-36. Ty, you got 23 carries, 121, 55-yard run, touchdown in the second quarter. Guy got 117 yards rushing. Sam got 9 tackles in that game. That boy was going crazy on defense. Yeah, he was going crazy. Interceptions, tackle for loss. He was going crazy. Fumble recoveries. And we had to have that in that section. You know, if you ain't running the ball, it's going to affect the game on special teams and things like that, you know.
Yeah, he was on that that Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so Marion, Huntington, Logansport was all three-way tie in the NCC, which is, you know, we'll take it.
It don't happen too often, so that we'll take it that year.
Yeah, we'll take that. When did the college recruiters start coming? When did things pick up for you as far as college looks and all-star games and things of that nature?
I mean, it was heavy, man. That's one thing, man, I had the blessing to do, man. I've been all over the country for the most part, traveling, seeing these colleges, man. I mean, from Ball State to a school called Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania to Auburn. I mean, I was in there with Tommy Tuberville personally looking at Walter Payton stuff. Like, hey, man, what you hear? I was actually being recruited during the time, actually, when the tree got messed up down at Auburn. I was there the game of.
Really? Right, that was the Auburn, Alabama game when they poisoned the trees out during the walk. Yeah, I remember
I was there the game before. The game right before that. I can't remember what game it was, but I was there for that. And then there's a Northwestern, Illinois. I mean, you can list the IU, Indiana State. I mean, I got to enjoy a lot of those colleges, man, traveling, staying there for weeks. Michigan State. My most memorable one until this day is my favorite memory and reason why I'm a Panthers fan to this day is, man, Musu Muhammad.
Yeah, which the wide receiver.
He actually, I was at a Michigan State camp, and amongst a ton of kids, hundreds of kids, he comes up to me and was like, "Bro, you that one." So like to this day, I still have his autographed jersey up in my room.
And with social media, you can reach back out to him with social media.
Yeah, big facts. And I haven't even thought about that, but that's something that, I mean, he literally pinpointed me, gave me the autographed jersey, and that's, I mean, to this day, I'm a Panthers fan. You know, so, I mean, me, my boy Sean Pettiford, we went up to Michigan, had weeks there. We was recruited together up there when I was a junior.
Now, didn't you two end up playing at Taylor together?
Yep. Me, Sean, and then my cousin Andy Sanchez.
Okay.
We all ended up going over to Taylor and playing together, man. So a lot of memories there playing for Coach Bell.
Could you talk about the recruiting process and things like that?
I mean, it was a wow effect for me, man. Like I said, man, I got to experience so many different schools, so many different atmospheres. But what honestly sold me on Taylor, which is kind of crazy, is I was 17 as a senior. My son was obviously in the process of being born, I guess you would say. He was in the belly. So I actually ended up going to Taylor on Martin Luther King Day, which was like an MLK celebration at Taylor. And I stayed the night before. So this is January 14th, which is actually my birthday. So I ended up staying there that night. Well, the next day they had a ceremony or whatever at the school. Well, my son, I get a call in the morning, my son was being born. So it gave me an ultimate full feeling to say that I go to this school, get a full ride, not pay $1, and still be a parent you know what I'm saying, in the same stance.
Day
So
after on your birthday.
day after. So ironically, the day of my birthday in the little town of Upland, I drove through, got me a lottery ticket, won $75. And before I ended up going back home, I actually did my first adult thing. And my son was born the day after I won that $75. Well, as a person, an individual, excuse me, you like, man, I'm going to this with nothing. Like, I prepared, got him onesies, diapers, blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
Like,
but
I'm
it's
not,
a
he's born.
big
Yeah.
responsibility.
So I take that $75, I go cash out. I'm like, man, I can go buy something for my son. Cause as a high school student, I didn't have no money or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it made me feel good at that moment to be able to say,
Was able to do
I
something.
did that. So that's somewhat of the reason why I took that decision to say Taylor's at school
Mm-hmm.
instead of a junior college or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no expense. I mean,
Yes.
I didn't have to worry about nothing. I was in school for free.
And Coach Bell was a new coach coming in from down south, and that was when the first time I met him. I'm an assistant on his staff now for the third year, I believe. But good man, good role model. He's what we need. That stern guy that's, I'm not going to try to be your friend. I'm trying to help you survive.
Yep.
And you see,
and I ain't looking at the papers to figure out how I'm gonna coach you. I'm coaching you how I coach.
I've been all over the country in every different situation, pros, college, and high school. I understand what's going to happen for you. I didn't forgot more you can even know. That's why to this day, he's a father figure for me. We do plays together. Me and him done been in 2 plays. It's a win-win. Some people can't handle what he gives. You know what I mean? They can't handle that, but I embrace it.
And that's one thing I learned at the college level, man. I had to learn and embrace is the factor that how I was presented my cards in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And college, Coach Bell did not nourish or didn't nurture the factor that I was a starter. He wasn't worried about that. He nurtured the fact that I was a player. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, you used to this lifestyle, then you should be this.
You got to show me.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't did nothing for me. What have you done for me lately? So, and that environment, I didn't start I think maybe the first two games or something like that, and then kind of grew into the play. And I had maybe 1 or 2 games I might have started for Coach Bell, but it wasn't every game. So that was like a development thing for me too, as well, at college level, knowing that I'm not always the guy. I'm the guy for the play. This is a script. Yeah. So, and that was something that I had to understand, obviously going from high school to that level, but I kind of got a gist for it when I played in the North-South All-Star game as well, right before playing with other great competitors.
Guys, guys that would eventually go to the pros.
Yeah, ended up playing against Darren Evans, which was Mr. Indiana.
He was, Man, I hadn't heard that name in so long, bro. I'm going to look up his stats when we done.
Man, he was ridiculous.
Darren Evans.
Yes,
bravo.
Like, Virginia Tech.
Let's go into these stats, though, because you've got 6 carries for 17 at St. Xavier. But then it was 1 carry for 21 at Walsh. And you had Eaglin as a QB. I'm not sure how he was. But he had 1 carry for 4 yards at Quincy, 1 carry for 8 yards at Greenville, 2 carries for 3 yards at Malone, 2 for 4 at Ohio Dominican. But now you had a game down in Indianapolis versus Marion College down there in Indy. Although we lost 24-14, you got 13 carries for 68, which was probably probably the best game numbers-wise at Taylor. Could you talk about that game down there in Indy?
Honestly, I feel like that game, I mean, I feel like it was at home, in the form and the fashion. Like I had a lot of people that I knew, came and see me play. And, even pulling up to that stadium in Indy, it was like, it was already a vibe. A lot of my family live in Indy, so being there, it was already on point. Yeah. So, and on top of it, there was actually a player over there that I actually knew that played at Marion, Stubbs, which was a good player for for Cathedral
Okay.
back then. He was a running back. So me and him played against each other in the North-South All-Star game and knew each other too. So that was like, that camaraderie from other teams, but that respect factor, like, bro, you a dog too, bro. Like,
Yeah, we
played
one of
too.
each other. We
Yeah.
like-minded. Yeah. And
So
yeah.
it was just an atmosphere that I feel like I had to come forth with that talent, man. Because even a lot of the kids that was on that team, I decided not to go to Marion. I was being recruited heavily by them
By them.
because it was their first year of football.
Yeah.
So I actually was in the mix with some of those guys too, and I love the atmosphere of Marion, but I still ended up making that decision because of, like I said, man, with me and my son, me being able
Yeah, the
to
close.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
being
Like,
close to home.
yep, it would have been the same scenario, full rides, this, that, or other, but it didn't mean as much. It was sentimental value to be able to get to my son. So
Now
I
you
had to.
did. I'm sorry to cut you off,
Oh, you
but you
good?
did play Anderson, which was a rematch with where you ready to face your high school quarterback,
Yeah,
Shane Nevers.
yeah.
Now they won. They beat you guys 37-13, and I think he got 2 touchdown passes. But could you talk about how that is to play against, somebody kind of well you've been in huddles with, but now he's on the other team and they get the W.
Hey man, it felt good too, man, to still play him because I was actually being recruited by Anderson too.
Uh-huh.
So there's times that I was on there in their stadium, their field, and it was
Yeah.
a big thing because it was they had a thing called the wagon wheel.
Yep.
So at Taylor, like they played for the wagon wheel.
Wagon wheel.
So
Yeah.
it was a rival game. So that's one thing I will say that freshman year I wasn't ready and prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just knew, like, hey, my boy, he play over here at
Down
Anderson.
here.
Playing.
So where did you go next though? Where did the next college you went to after Taylor?
So I took off to Rockford, Illinois,
Uh-huh.
played football for a school called Rock Valley College.
Okay.
Um, went up there and did a little bit of damage, man. Actually, Coach Dante Weatherly, he played up there with me. So,
Okay. Yeah,
um,
he's on the coaching staff with us now.
yep, me and
Yeah.
him, that's my boy, man. So, he could tell you all the stories. He got to experience it firsthand as well.
Mm-hmm.
From high school all the way to college too, because he was on the
Yeah.
sidelines with me and at the high school.
Yeah.
Uh, that's one thing I'll tell you, man. The experience for the ages, man. Got to start some too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whole nother level of athletes, but
Yeah.
that program ended up laughing because they had a couple situations. They stopped our football team just because the out of school situations that we
Yeah.
presented. So they ended up just kicking football. So
Not,
that just rushed me
mm-hmm.
out and said it was time to quit and be a parent, man.
And what did you get into next? You talked a little bit about getting into car sales for a little while and things of that nature. Is that a
Yep.
tough
So
business?
I ended up moving. Oh yeah. Honestly, it's a pretty solid one. It won't last forever.
Uh-huh.
So that's part of the reason I kind of jumped outside the fact that, being a parent of 5 children, man, you can't sit there and do 12-hour shifts during the day from 6 to 9:30 and expect to be
Yeah.
like I'm influencing my children.
Mm-hmm. You have to be there.
Like, yeah, I gave them everything I had. Money means what? I got what I want, whatever,
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I did car sales for some years. Now I'm actually in barber school finishing up, hopefully in December. Will
Mm-hmm.
be the final lock in on that, man. And I
Yeah.
can start, giving that pleasure, looking good and feeling good, man.
Good stuff, Ty. Marion has a great quality of barbers in this town. I mean, you can go from Tony Brown to Pimp to Tyron to, I mean, Kalen. I mean, on down the line, fresh cuts everywhere.
Yeah, even if you think about before, man, going back to the football play, man, my boy KJ, hey, he
He
was one
been
of the
lace them up.
ones that did it before he got kind of in the situation, man. So, shout out to him because me and him, we had our little stints throwing parties, having fun at it
Yeah.
right after Taylor, actually.
Uh-huh.
Me, him, Tristan, we ended up throwing parties and stuff. So even from football, we still had the love for each other that
Yes.
carried on to adulting. And then from there, I mean, he kind of blessed me with a little bit of my talent now with barbering. So
Good stuff, man. Well, you know, I could, man, bro, I could talk all day about sports and football and coaching, but I just love to be able to have you on the Never Die podcast. You know, I'd love to have you on again, or in some capacity, because you are one of the greatest running backs in man history. I mean,
yeah,
3,000 yards in three, like I said, 814, 1211, and you know, the other one, 12, he's 3,000 yards in 3 years, baby, 30 touchdowns. Uh,
yeah.
you belong up
Appreciate
there.
it.
You know what I'm saying? So just want to thank you for coming on the show.